Hi there, thanks for coming back to the channel. The title for today's video is LinkedIn Automation, What is the Best Approach? Keep watching and I'll give you my thoughts after the break. Hi there, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to turn on the notifications, they're very important. Today's topic, LinkedIn automation, what is the best approach? Okay, I want to switch from YouTube. Let's go to my LinkedIn profile. Here's my LinkedIn profile. You see I have 6,958 followers. I have about 6,400, I think about 6,400 or 6,500 first degree connections. Now, the subject we're talking about is LinkedIn automation. And let me just show you some live messages. So even today, on the day of recording, I've received a couple of messages. Those are not the messages from a couple of people. One was from a company called eLink. Another was from a company called GrowthX. And I'm not going to go into any more details about those. Let's go back to the profile for 1 second. And both of those companies contacted me today on the 23rd of August 2021 offering LinkedIn automation services. This is not a service that is accepted by LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, let me make this very, very clear. LinkedIn have expressly forbidden the use of automation on LinkedIn to view profiles, to get more contacts, to send out messages. All of that is prohibited on LinkedIn. I don't think that is always the case. In the past, I think it was acceptable or accepted on LinkedIn to use automation for certain processes. But I know now it's not accepted. And if you become a customer of one of these companies offering LinkedIn automation, you might find yourself being banned from LinkedIn. And if you're in the B2B space, you need to be on LinkedIn. Even if you're not very active, you need to have your profile there so people can connect with you. Rather than me just giving you the headlines, let me be specific and go to the LinkedIn user agreement. So this is a LinkedIn user agreement. You can see that it's effective from date August 11th, 2020. So during the global pandemic, this was updated. I no longer have access or screenshots of the previous version of the user agreement, so it might have been a change that was made then. But if you scroll, it's quite a long agreement, so you can read this at your leisure. I will put the URL in the description as usual, so you can pick that up and read it for yourself. But what I want to draw your attention to is in section 8, LinkedIn do's and don'ts. So in section 8, LinkedIn do's and don'ts of the user agreements. We're going to go down to that. I'm going to read out a couple of these for you just to give you, contextualize what is possible and what's not possible. And LinkedIn automation is not possible. So there are a couple of clauses that relate to that. So there's a clause, I think clause 13 is one of them. You cannot, this is in the don't section 8.2. 13. You cannot use bots or other automated methods to access the services, add or download contacts, send or redirect messages. So there you go, clear statement there. You can't use automation services. LinkedIn doesn't want automation services. When I've just covered, I'm going to look for the other clause I think relates to this, to automation on LinkedIn and the fact that you can't use it. And then after that, I'm going to talk about why I think LinkedIn made this change, if they made the change in 2020. Number 2 is also, it's relevant. Develop, support or use software, devices, scripts, robots or any other means or processes, including crawlers, browser plugins, add-ons or any other technology to scrape the services or otherwise copy profiles and other data from the services. So there are two clear clauses, 13 and 2, that relate to not using automation on LinkedIn. So clearly the best approach with LinkedIn automation is not to use any of it, because you could get banned. And if you're banned permanently, then you will not be able to engage with prospects and leads on the platform. So it's important that you follow the terms of the user agreement and stay accessible and visible on the platform. The next section in order is probably what happens if you break these terms and conditions, this user agreement. If you break the user agreement in terms of using automation on LinkedIn, and obviously LinkedIn uses AI tools to detect irregular or unusual activity on a profile, or with outreach and messaging and so on. If you break break the user agreement, you will be first of all, maybe you'll be warned by a message on LinkedIn. Secondly, you'll probably get a couple of days of being banned from the platform, so that might be 2 or 3 days banned from the platform because they suspect you're using automation. And thirdly, the next stage after that is a permanent ban. And a permanent ban, if you're in the B2B space, a permanent ban from LinkedIn is not going to be good for business lead generation or outreach at all. So you want to avoid that. So don't use automation. You need to make a more sort of organic and manual approach to extending your network on LinkedIn and looking for new opportunities. So that's what happens if you do break the user agreement. Okay, why do I think that LinkedIn has banned automation? And I think LinkedIn has banned automation because they want anybody to improve perhaps their outreach, their network, using LinkedIn's own products and services. So LinkedIn would much prefer you to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, maybe to improve your outreach in your network, or LinkedIn advertising to reach new contacts and prospects. So I think that they have banned automation for those purposes to increase their revenue in other areas. Shall we compare it quickly with other social media platforms? On Twitter, there's no problem with you using automation, so you can automate your messages in the mornings to catch people in what we used to call the rush hour before the sort of hybrid working and home working. We used to call that the rush hour. People would go into offices and into businesses and you catch them then. Twitter doesn't have a problem with automation. Obviously, if you were distributing hateful content, that would be a problem. That's a separate issue rather than the automation in itself. If you use Facebook also doesn't have a problem with automation. So if you're using a scheduling tool, social media scheduling tool, that's not a problem. And some of the other platforms don't have a problem with automation. So clearly LinkedIn has a problem with automation, wants to stop people growing to millions and millions of followers. And we could all think of a couple of people with millions and millions of followers and who I would suspect has used some sort of automation to get to that level. LinkedIn wants to stop that and wants the people to grow only slowly and organically. Whatever the merits of that or that approach, I've discussed in other videos. Clearly, LinkedIn does not want its members, and there are 740 million of them, increasing their network by using software or tools to continue the outreach, to extend and scale their outreach. Those tools are clearly banned. A lot of people, I believe, do not know this or are not aware, because there are whole businesses who are communicating with individuals, and as I said, I've received 2 this morning. That's why I made this video. There are whole businesses based on automating functions on LinkedIn, and if they're to do that for you as an individual, you could end up being banned from LinkedIn. So you need to be very aware of that if you're going to use any of these services. Hope this has been useful and informative for you. If it has, please give me a like. Click on one of the 2 thumbnails to watch another video from me. I look forward to speaking to you next time. Thanks. Bye bye.